What is going on, crew? Today we're not talking about Lamborghinis, but there is a tie-in to that title. I promise you we're talking about how to get control of your blood sugars, but introduce freedom and flexibility with the foods, the exercises, the lifestyle. But if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. I am so excited to talk to you guys today and share this epiphany that I had while cruising around. Now, we've got a fun time today, but it's a little bit more condensed. I'm going to try and keep this one a bit shorter. Lots of stuff and exciting stuff going on in the world of diabetes right now. And hopefully you're doing as well as I am. Now we're going to check on the stream. I almost forgot what it's called. A live stream. Make sure we're actually live on this thing. So I'm going to double check on our audio, on our visual. But if you can't hear me, drop a number 1 in the comments below because I want to make sure you guys can hear me before we jump in. So we're going to check on visuals. All right, I think we are good. I'm going to go ahead and open it up so you can get comments flowing. And yeah, let me know if you guys are good to go on hearing me, and we'll jump into it. So how to test drive the Lamborghini of diabetes. And if you don't know what a Lamborghini is, it's like the fanciest, one of the most expensive cars in the world. I've always wanted to drive one, and I actually got a chance to drive one not too long ago. It was absolutely incredible. No, I do not own it, unfortunately, but I got a chance to test drive it. Oh, you got Bev in the chat with a 1. Perfect. You guys can hear my story about this Lamborghini. So Lamborghini, super fast sports car, right? Everybody should know what they are. It's Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren. There's a lot of different versions of sports cars, but the Lamborghini was always my favorite. And one of the reasons it was my favorite, or not reasons, but one of the times that solidified it being my favorite was the use of it in the Batman films, and I'm a big Batman fan. So it was fun seeing that. Anyways, a couple years ago, my wife surprised me for a birthday present with a test drive of the Lamborghini Aventador, which is one of my favorites. Actually, it was the Lamborghini Huracan, I believe. And these cars are wicked fast. And it was on a closed test drive course. And she said, go crazy. You're going to have the instructor in there with you, and he's going to keep you safe, obviously, make sure you don't crash his car. But you get to go drive, like go on the racetrack. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I get into the car, and the guy's first question, hey, do you know how to drive manual? Like sports cars are manual, and a manual car means gears have to be shifted. Now, quick question. Drop the word shift in the chat if you drive a stick shift or a manual. Lots of different ways we can call it, but drop the word shift if you've ever driven a manual car or know how to. And while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that I actually learned how to drive on a stick shift out in the middle of Oregon, backwoods in the mountains. My uncle let me borrow his pickup truck. We got a shift from Bill. Love it. And what's fun too is learning how to drive a stick shift is challenging. It is difficult, but that's how I learned. So I didn't know anything else. And long story short, learning how to drive a stick shift, actually my first car was a stick shift, and I guess I fell in love with it because every car I've had since then has been a stick shift. And that is correct. I think I've had like probably four cars at this point. Lots of times that other people crashed into my car. 3 times when I wasn't even in the car. They just hit my parked car. It's very frustrating. But all that to say, I learned how to drive stick shift, fell in love with it, and mastered the craft. Well, as much as any normal civilian does. I don't race professionally. But Bev says shift as well. Cool. We got a couple of stick shift folks in here. So what's cool about that is that as I got into this opportunity with a Lamborghini, this guy asking me like, do you know how to shift? Do you know what a manual transmission is? And I'm like, yep, let's go. He's like, oh, you do? Really? And I was like, yeah, I've been driving stick shift my entire life. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Let's go then. And he's just this relief that came over the driver because he's probably thinking this guy is going to wreck my transmission because most people don't know how to drive stick shift, right? As we can see, the comments are not flooding with people saying that they all know how to drive stick. A lot of people don't. And this is a fading skill set, unfortunately, these days. But anyways, we got to take off. I take off, and we're just flying down the course. This thing packs a punch. Like I hit the gas pedal and just like blew my mind, and I had a smile on my face, ear to ear the entire time. It was absolutely amazing. And yes, my blood sugars did spike from adrenaline alone. It was comical. But we get to a point at the end where I realized, had I not known how to drive stick shift, we got another one, driving manual, love it. Had I not known how to drive stick shift, that experience would have been a lot different, right? Probably would have got me into first gear and I would have been stuck in first. No paddle shifting, no nothing. And so as a result of learning that skill set early on, it opened up the doors to more incredible, more memorable. I'm blanking out on the word, but creating better memories, right? Wow, I'm really blanking on that word. More memorable. There we go. I was so close. More memorable experiences because I learned that skill set early on, right? Now, not to say everyone has to go and learn how to drive a stick shift, but I would recommend it. It's a good life skill to have. But what we see is that if you've built these skill sets out, you have more options, more flexibility. And I look at the trail of diabetes management strategies over the years. Initially it was, hey, eat the same thing at the same time of day, take the same dose of insulin, and that will keep you alive, right? And then we started learning about the exchange system, like, oh, it's 1 serving of carbs for this much insulin. And then we started learning there's different types of carbs. There's simple carbs, complex carbs, net carbs versus gross carbs. Like, what are we dosing for? And then we developed the insulin to carb ratio. And learning about things like the insulin to carb ratio allows us to have more flexibility with the controlled blood sugars. Right. So as we're looking at going out to eat at a restaurant, for example, that's like the sports car experience, right? Because you're like, if I don't know how to count carbs and what my insulin to carb ratio is, this could just blow up in my face and I won't get to experience it to its fullest potential, right? Just like me in that Lamborghini. I wouldn't have the opportunity to drive it and actually get the most out of it if I didn't know how to drive a stick shift, right? Even though they were paddle shifters, I wouldn't know how to work the clutch. And similarly, I've had other experiences where knowing about manual transmissions and stick shift and all that has allowed me to ride motorcycles. Motorcycles also use a clutch and a gear system, right? One down, and I have to know what we're doing with our blood sugars as we do with the transmission. So even if you don't know how to drive a manual transmission, I want you to understand with your blood sugars, there's different skill sets that allow you to have more flexibility in front of you. So if you want to eat the same thing at the same time every single day, that's like never learning how to drive a stick shift and just hoping that you don't have to be in a situation where it calls for a stick shift driver, right? I realized that my siblings don't know how to drive a stick shift. So if they ever needed to take my car somewhere, too bad. It's not going to work. They don't understand how to drive a stick shift. Similarly, if you go to a restaurant, you don't know how to carb count, you don't know what your insulin to carb ratio is with full certainty, right? Good luck. You're probably not going to stay in range. You're going to go low, or more likely than not, you're going to go high, right? And it's a difficult thing to enjoy, to create those memories, because you don't have the skill sets required to introduce that flexibility into your life. Is this making sense so far? More skill sets allow you to have more flexibility. So within our diabetes, we have to look at what skill sets are important to us. What do we want to master that will enable us to have the most flexibility in life, versus which skill sets are so unique and niched that we don't really care about them, right? Some people really want to run a marathon. That's like a life goal for them. So they're going to master that skill set, the activity components, the burn rates, how many calories do I need per hour to maintain, all these kinds of things. But for the average individual, studying and researching and honing in their skill sets for a marathon has very little application, right? If you never care about driving a sports car or a performance vehicle or a motorcycle, it doesn't really matter if you drive stick shift or not. Right? It's not going to come in handy unless you're in a situation like my siblings where, your brother has a stick shift and you have to drive his car. That's the only time it's going to be useful. But with blood sugars, if you're looking at a situation where you're like, okay, I do want to go out to restaurants, I do want to have some flexibility in my diet, be able to have some carbs here and there, right? You're going to have to sit down and learn the skill sets necessary to allow for that flexibility and that freedom. You're going to have to learn about insulin, the timing, the dosing, the macronutrients, the pre and post activities. There are certain pieces of these puzzles that you have to learn that are non-negotiable if you expect to have both flexibility and control. Is that making sense so far? So like me having the opportunity to drive a really fancy sports car and get the most out of that activity, so similarly with your blood sugars, you're going to have opportunities in life to live it up, right? Whether it's going out to your favorite restaurant, somebody surprises you for your birthday, and it's like the best food in the world, 5-star Michelin, whatever they call it. Or maybe it's you get the opportunity to travel halfway across the world for free. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm confident enough with my blood sugars to master the time zones, different types of cultural cuisine, different activity levels, because we're walking through Europe or whatever it is, right? You got to be ready for those things. So now is the time to start building those skill sets for what is important to you in the future, right? I didn't learn how to drive a stick shift the night before I drove a Lamborghini. At that point, I had been driving a stick shift for like 15 years, okay? And that should give you an idea of how early I started driving a stick shift, because it hadn't been 15 years that I'd had my license at that point. So understand that you have to put the work in now to reap the rewards later, to be ready for those flexible moments, right? We got John says, I saw you on a Just A Bank website. Oh, interesting. Oh, we got April says, I drive a manual too. Fantastic. So we got a couple of stick shift pros in here. I see that. Now, with your diabetes, this is up to you to decide what is important to you. Some people prefer having the flexibility at restaurants, right? And that's going to be something they hone in on. Some people prefer athletics. They want to go to the gym, get super ripped and buff, or maybe just really tone up and not have to worry about drinking juice boxes every time you go for a run, right? And kind of negating the effects that you just worked so hard for. But whatever those look like, you have to decide if the reward is worth the earning of the skill set, right? Learning how to drive a stick shift was crazy frustrating. I did not get it on the first try. I didn't get it on the second try. In fact, it was also my first car. I got a really old car when I was first getting my driver's license, like old car. I'm going to give you guys a little insight into that. My first car, when I first got it, had 300,000 miles on it. Most cars die at like 100,000 miles. So that should give you an idea of how old my first car was. But that car, I had to take care of. I had to figure out how to use the transmission, figure out stick shift, because it was my only way to get to school each day, right? Yes, I stalled that car in front of my friends. I stalled that car on the way home plenty of times, but I had to put the work in, put the frustration in, the sweat equity, if you will, to learn how to stick shift and how to drive a manual so that someday, unbeknownst to me, I'd have the opportunity to drive a Lamborghini and get the most out of it, to have some fun and be flexible with that. So I hope that makes sense. Kind of had this thought because earlier today I was actually visiting my sisters, went out there to do some nice things for family, went and got coffee, and you might be able to see that there's order 2 of 2, right? And that's my go-to drink right there. Grande black iced coffee, light ice, no classic. It's good stuff. But I was getting drinks and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my sister a fancy coffee and just bring it over to her house. And it was just me wanting to bless her. And then while I was hanging out with her, I realized it's like, you have zero ability to drive my car anywhere. If you had to leave right now, you couldn't use my car. You'd have to walk. Like say if I wasn't available. So got me thinking. Made me giggle, but gave me a lesson for you guys today. So the idea behind today's big lesson, you got to put the work in to develop the skill sets to enable flexibility in your life. If you're not going to put the work in, you're not going to learn the skill sets. Don't expect to have flexibility and control. You can't go to a restaurant, not know what your insulin to carb ratio is, and just fingers crossed, I hope this works, right? Maybe once out of every 10 times you'll nail it, but most of the time it's going to go horribly wrong. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, carbs are the devil. Carbs aren't the devil. The fact that you're not putting the work in is the issue, right? And no one wants to admit that it's their fault, but that's the reality in this case. It is up to us to take care of our own diabetes, to put the work in, take responsibility for our current situation, not to rely on our doctors in hopes that they're going to just magically fix us, right? Yes, they're helpful, but you got to put the work in. You have to earn the right to have this flexibility in your life with control. Too many people I see, they try to steal the flexibility from life. They're like, oh, I'm going to go to a restaurant and just guess. It's not going to work, right? The blood sugars are not going to cooperate, and then they get mad at diabetes. That's not fair. You didn't put the work in, so you don't deserve the result. That's how that works. So hard truth, but I want to leave you guys with that because a lot of times there's just this fake motivation out there where it's like, oh, you're doing your best, keep trying. Reality is that's important to understand in the beginning when you're first accepting this disease and trying to get it figured out, because it is a big transition, right? But you got to reach a certain point where you shift over to the hard motivation. Like, all right, it's my fault that happened. I need to take responsibility, learn how to do this thing because diabetes isn't going anywhere. And that's where you'll have your pivot moment. You're like, oh, shoot, I have to take care of this thing. Like, I can't just rely on other people. All right, let's figure it out. How do I carb count, right? All right, what's my insulin to carb ratio? All right, what's this restaurant known for? Do they stuff extra sugar in the sauces to make it taste better? Got to know that because I got a dose for it, right? Earn that reward. Promise you it's worth it. Take it from somebody who never thought he'd be driving a Lamborghini, but learned how to drive a stick shift anyways. I put the work in and ended up getting a fantastic reward. I haven't driven one since then. Like I said, I don't own it, but it was amazing. It was a memory. And it was because I had put the work in 15 years earlier to learn the skill set that enabled me to drive a fancy sports car. So I hope that's helpful. Hope this makes sense from a diabetes perspective. Is this making sense? Drop a quick yes if this analogy switching over makes sense, where you got to put the work in, develop the skill sets for what you want so you can reap the rewards. Give me a yes in the comments if that makes sense. Or any questions you have on this topic. That's allowed. You guys are allowed to drop questions 100%. I welcome questions because questions allow us to build out these skill sets even further, right? We got a yes coming in. Awesome. Another yes coming in. I see you. We got April. We got Bill. Fantastic. Yeah, it helps me to see you guys in the comments too. So I know A, you're paying attention, and B, if there are any questions coming up, all right? So that's what I got for you guys today. I might be doing a Bev says yes as well. Awesome. I'm going to give you guys a pro tip. If you comment, if you engage, it actually is going to wire your brain to the lessons a bit faster and better. I may turn this into a lesson. I've got a spooky episode coming up for the podcast. I'm really excited about it. But I had a chat with my T1D sister while I was dropping coffee off at her place. And we've got some fun stuff planned for you guys coming up in the next few weeks that I cannot wait to share. May even bring her on. In fact, I told her that she should come on. We'll do a little interview in this group. And she was like, oh, I don't know if they want to hear me talk. Like, I don't know if it's worth it. She has type 1. She is an ICU nurse, and she is studying for CDE. How many of you guys want to see or hear what she has to say? Drop sister in the chat if you think that my sister should come on. I'll show her how many responses we get. If nobody cares, then I won't show her because I don't want her to think that nobody cares. But if you think that she should come on and I should interview her, drop the word sister, and maybe we can encourage her to hop on, share her experience as an ICU nurse living with type 1 diabetes and studying for her CDE. We got a sister from Jolene. Love it. And we got one from Bill as well. So we'll have to have a chat. April says sister. Awesome. We'll see if we can get my sis in here. One of them. I have 3 sisters, and they're all nurses. Fun fact. Bev says sister as well. All right. I think my sister's going to have to come on. We'll see what she says. Anyways, I hope this one's been helpful for you guys. The skill sets that are required for you to have a flexible life. You can't just go eat whatever you want and expect it to go well. You can't just go run a marathon and fingers crossed you're not going to go low. There has to be work put in. It's the sweat equity that's required of us in order to have flexibility in life. And this is true across the board. It's not just diabetes, but understanding with diabetes helps us a bit along the way. I think it helps us to be a little bit less entitled, and it also opens up the realm of questions that we have to be asking ourselves. Like, why didn't that work, right? It's not just because diabetes is insane and it's never going to work and we're all brittle diabetics. That's not how it works, right? You can't just blame your diabetes for being difficult. That's part of the deal, right? But if you get curious, if you put the work in and you start to take forward momentum and put steps into place, you'll start making progress. It will become easier, and you will get to a place where you can have more flexibility and freedom with your lifestyle. And that's what I want for you guys. All right. So it's time to start learning how to drive stick shift in your diabetes management so you can drive a Lamborghini and get out there and have a higher quality of life. That's the big goal here. And of course, if you guys need any help with that, let me know. This is all we do. This is what we specialize in, is helping people get to a place where they have the skill sets necessary to wake up and go, what do I want to do today? What do I want to eat today? Right. And it's not like, oh, I have to stay home and eat this specific foods. Like, there's more out there. There's more to life. And if that's something that you guys want some assistance with, or we've actually got a new specialist that's been having conversations with people, and it's been really cool watching them just create plans for people who are interested in learning more. And and literally it's free. Like there's nothing for sale. They just create plans. It's part of their job with us, is to help you create forward momentum. And if that's something that you think you need, where you're like, I just don't know what my next steps are. I'm trying to learn the skill sets, but they're just not working, or I don't know which skill sets are the ones that I need. We've got those calls that are set up for that purpose, where they sit with you 15 minutes and they go, okay, what are you dealing with? What do you want? Let's create a plan together. And they give you step by step of exactly what you should be doing. So if that's something that you think like would be helpful, obviously if you want help making a plan so you can create some forward momentum with those skill sets, type the word coach in the comments, and I'll make sure that either I or they connect with you so you can get an actual plan in place and know which skill sets are the most important ones for you to focus on, so that you're not wasting time learning skill sets that like aren't that important for what you actually want to accomplish with your diabetes. Okay. So if that's a conversation that would help you, like I said, it's free. There's nothing for sale. Their job is to help you create a plan so that you know what your next steps look like. That's it. So if you want that, drop the word coach, and we'll hook you guys up. All right. So that's all I got for you today. It still ended up going past 20 minutes. I hope this was helpful for you. And I got to hop on another call with one of my clients right now. So I'm going to jump off. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, if you want some assistance, that's what our specialists are there for. Just drop the word coach, and I'll see you guys next week. Every week, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, same time, right? Every Thursday. So enjoy the rest of your day. Take this, implement it, do something with this information. I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see you guys next time. Keep up the fight.